Okay, so we are in chapter number 7, shlok number 23. Antavatav phalam tesam yad bhavanti alpamedhasam devana devai yaggoyanti madbhaktayanti mamapi. Repeat the translation again. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship demigods go to the planet of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So in this shloka, we have to try to understand few things. Why people with small intelligence worship demigods. So as mentioned in this purport, because of the fruits, right? They want to achieve something. It may be wealth or some kind of material benefit. But we have to understand these fruits, whatever we are desiring, they are temporary. So through this shloka, we are actually trying to distinguish also between the god and demigods. And then thinking demigod as God. So if you see, one of the namaprad is thinking demigod as God. And what actually happen if we worship demigods? What ultimately happens? And why actually we should worship God? So through this shloka, we will try to understand all of this. So in the purport, we can see that small intelligence, people who have less intelligence. So intelligence doesn't mean ki if somebody achieve higher degrees, PhDs or IITs, IIMs, we should not consider that as intelligence. Actual intelligence is understanding of God. So generally, people who have small intelligence or less intelligence, they worship demigod. And that is mainly because the main material, because of the material desire, right, which is temporary. So less intelligence people, actually what happens, their intelligence is stolen by the material desire. They generally worship demigods, but actually it is Lord Krishna who actually sanctions these benedictions through demigods. So generally, do we think demigods have all the controlling power? Actually, all this power, suppose if somebody is worshipping for knowledge or wealth, he goes to demigods. But actually, those power was given to demigod by Lord himself. So one thing we have to understand, that the result of all these things are perishable. That is what is mentioned here as antavat, means it is perishable. It is going to be finished at one time. It will be over. So one who is actually freed from all this material contamination surrenders to Supreme Lord and engage himself in devotional service. Only person who actually understand this philosophy, that all this material, whatever we are desiring, at one point of time, it is going to perish. Who understand this philosophy, such people actually go towards Lord and they surrender to Lord. The other thing is, we have to understand that the devotees who go to the Lord kingdom or Goloka will never come back to this material world, right? That we have learned so far. So we have to understand why we have to go back there instead of having all this material enjoyment. So one main thing is, in Goloka or in Lord abode, there is no anxiety. isn't it? We have seen even Indra is having so much of insecurity, isn't it? So all these demigods, Indra, Shiva, Ganesh, these are all post, correct, given to them. That is why there is so much of insecurity, because at one point of time, that also will go or taken away by the Lord. So that is what here it is said, that one who desires for wealth will go to demigod or the higher planets, isn't it? So what will happen after that? Even, he go to higher planet to enjoy all this. At one point of time, again, he has to do bhakti. He has to come back and do bhakti. We have seen this in the example of Dhruv, correct? So what happened? Dhruv desired for a very large or big kingdom. He desired for that kingdom. He was refused to sit on his father's lap. He was refused. And he then decided he wanted a bigger kingdom than his grandfather. And later what happened? He actually ruled 36,000 years before going to Dhruv. So actually, if you see, the process is already defined by Lord. The moment a person go to Lord for worship, from that day onward, Lord actually decide what he decide. He decide that person, he will take him back to Godhead. So now this process may take some or more time, depending upon how the devotee is, what is the purity of that devotee. Pure devotee may take shortest time, isn't it? We have seen in previous example, suppose if you have to go to Delhi, you have to either catch a train, bus or air. But if we go by air, we are going to reach in the shortest time. So the point here is, whoever actually worship Lord, at one point of time, he will going to get pure. It may be sooner or later, and then he will go back to Godhead. So we all must be feeling actually good after hearing this, isn't it? So this is not something I am telling, but Lord is actually written this already. He already told this. The moment you actually surrender to God or pray God, your process actually starts. Now it depending on us, what is the intensity of our worshipness. And if you see in this slide also, right, all demigods are there, Devi Devtas, but the actual benediction bestowed by demigod is sanctioned by Lord Krishna himself. So what is the point actually worshipping demigods? People, because of fulfilling their desires, they actually go to demigods. But ultimately, they have to again come back and do bhakti only. So why we have to actually take the longest path? Why we have to take the bus or train? Why not we go by air and reach fast? So for some person, it may take one birth, and for some person, it take 10 births also. But actually, it doesn't matter. How long it takes, it doesn't matter. As long as we are assured that we are going to go back to Godhead. So if we think, this suffering is something I can, take in this planet, then our progress will be definitely little in a lazy manner. So if someone is not understanding the philosophy also, let's say Bhagavatam or scripture, it doesn't matter actually. We can at least do chanting. We can do, Lord Seva. or devotee seva, at least this we can do, right? A illiterate person, he cannot read. That doesn't mean he cannot go back to Godhead. Only thing is, if we chant and do seva, we can go back. And people also think that if I go to Swargaloka by worshipping demigods, we'll never come back. But that is not correct. That is what we are seeing here. Even Devi Devtas,